I'd like to now recognize the chairwoman of the full committee, Ms. Foxx.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Shapiro, one of the most important lessons I learned as a college president was the importance of institutional neutrality. Institutions should maintain a welcoming environment for all speech. What happens to our students and faculty when colleges selectively pick and choose speech to support? Is your mic on? Yeah. And pull your mic up to you if you don't mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Chairwoman Foxx. It's an important one because when universities or any unit of a university takes a position on a controversy, that chills speech of students or faculty who might disagree on that position. That's why the gold standard for this sort of thing, the University of Chicago's Calvin report, recommends, and for Chicago adopted, not taking any sorts of institutional positions. So when something arises, they don't have to decide, oh, are we going to weigh in on this, or we're being pressured by both sides, how should we massage it? They can just say, we're not in the business, we're in the business of education, we're not in the business of political punditry. And
so, as a follow-up, how does this harm the role universities should play in society when they pick and choose?
Yeah, it transforms a university into an advocacy group on political controversy, not about its own interests, rather than distracting it from its mission of seeking truth, educating students, creating knowledge.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the work that you're doing every day. I really appreciate it. Mrs. Trump, the legal advocacy work at Speech First shows how necessary it still is to combat violations of free speech. I believe it's important to hold institutions accountable, but this committee has thought long and hard on how to appropriately balance federal policy. Do you believe Congress has a role to play in ensuring colleges maintain free speech environments?
Yes, Congress does have a role to play because a lot of these universities receive federal funding. And so the onus is on Congress a lot of times to actually make sure that these institutions are protecting the rights of the students that are going to these schools, especially federal and publicly funded schools. Additionally, if the Department of Education is enforcing policies and putting policies into place that are violating students' First Amendment rights, then Congress has a role to investigate what's going on at the Department of Education and why they feel the need to do that. Also, there's a lot of definitions under Title IX and Title VI of harassment and discrimination that are ever changing with every administration. It would be wonderful if Congress could codify some of these definitions.
I love the Constitution, and it seems to me it's pretty firm on what it says. But yes, I believe you're right that we have a role to play here, although it's a very delicate role to play. Mr. Joyner, I passionately believe that colleges and universities should prepare students to be lifelong learners. It's important to graciously engage with ideas and people with whom you disagree. But as we've seen from today's testimonies, institutions are not promoting this key part of learning. Based on your perspective as a current student, how can colleges better equip the next generation to value free speech?
Congresswoman, thank you for the question. What I've seen on campus is that after incidents like this at Stanford Law School and other incidents across the country is that it's stifling free speech in our classrooms, that both conservative and liberal students don't feel comfortable to speak out. It's exiled debate into these other rooms, and in order to enforce this, we need to have university administrators who are in place and able to enforce the basic principles of free speech and make sure that students are respecting these. And what we've seen is that administrators at Stanford Law School just a couple weeks ago were not doing their job to enforce the principles of free speech and the university's own policies on free speech.
Thank you very much again to our witnesses for being here today. This is an extremely important topic on the minds of Americans, on the minds of college students. And I think it's important that we have held this hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.